Honorable Dr. Arvind Gulal, GOSA Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Mrs. Stephanie Anquetil, Chief Government Whip, Honorable Fabrice David, Junior Minister of the Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Honorable Junior Ministers, Her Excellency Ms. Lisa Singh, Human Resident Coordinator for Mauritius and Seychelles, representatives of international organizations, SC Mrs. Joan Buckus, Permanent Secretary Mrs. Rampadarat, Mr. Budna, of the Ministry of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, honorable members of the Parliament, CEOs, general managers, private sector partners, valued planters, breeders, and stakeholders of the agricultural sector, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to welcome you all to the Assises of Agriculture under the theme Smart Agriculture for Resilient Mauritius, and thank you immensely for your participation in this landmark event. We gather here today and tomorrow to deliberate on critical issues, challenges, actions to unlock opportunities to boost our agricultural sector. Your presence underscores the importance of collaboration, innovation, growth, and resilience in the sector. Let's explore ideas, work together, and engage in consultative dialogue in contributing to shape a prosperous agricultural sector for the Republic of Mauritius. I kindly invite our colleagues online to join us on our social media page, Facebook, under the hashtag Assises de l'Agriculture. You can kindly scan the QR code and join us live on the Facebook page. To begin with, we shall have a small video showing the pathways in the agricultural sector. Thank you.
L'agriculture Maurice est construite dans la sphère et travaille dur à un fermier dévoué. L'eau la terre et que l'on dizaine d'années d'expérience qui permettent nos pays de changer d'autres. Mais le défi qui devant nous aujourd'hui plus grand qu'ils amènent. Changement climatique, pression romancée, exigence de la sécurité alimentaire et nécessité pour produire plus, mais dans une façon durable. Action, pas d'option. Il y a une nécessité absolue. Nous prenons l'objectif clair, produire plus et produire meilleur. Plus rendement, plus à l'ensemble. Sans faire compromis, la sécurité alimentaire, qualité et traçabilité. Depuis plantation jusqu'à l'assiette consommateur, chaque étape est important. Pratique respectée, bon contrôle l'eau intrant, résilience climatique, le pli en soi. Il y a une nécessité, à travers adaptation aux bonnes pratiques, diversification du système de production et adoption de l'approche respecter l'environnement. Nous protégeons l'agriculture contre la sécheresse, inondation et les autres changements climatiques, tout en assurant l'avenir futur.
L'idée de sa assise de l'agriculture, c'est précisément qu'on transforme tous ces différents acteurs-là en agro-entrepreneurs. Évidemment, le gros défi de notre ministère à travers les assises de l'agriculture, c'est de trouver les ressources et les moyens, les idées pour augmenter la sécurité alimentaire du pays. En tant que jeune ministre délégué, on veut faire un appel à une jeune. Considère le secteur agricole comme un secteur d'avenir. Il n'y a aucun doute que la jeunesse mauricienne, le génie mauricien, se trouve sa place dans sa nouvelle ère agricole 3.0.
Technologie accélère cette transformation-là. L'agriculture de précision, les outils digitaux et les décisions prises aux données permettent de fermer servir de l'eau, intrants et de l'énergie dans une façon plus efficace. Avec bonne technologie, chaque action vit plus intelligente chaque ressource plus bien gérée et chaque récolte plus prévisible.
L'agriculture aujourd'hui, c'est une agriculture qui ne passe pas par un moment facile. Mais vous adaptez. Et aujourd'hui, ce que vous pouvez faire, c'est venir avec une agriculture de responsabilité. Et vous voulez que ça retourne à l'agriculture là, il y a le retour à tous les niveaux. Prevention is better than cure. Nous payons une campagne de proximité avec les planteurs. Et un des thèmes de ça, les assises de l'agriculture, c'est ce qu'on appelle l'agriculture souveraine et l'agriculture propre à la consommation. Parce que l'objectif, c'est créer ce qu'on appelle une banque de données de la terre. Le retour à la terre, c'est le retour à la vie. Nous aidons la vie à la terre, parce que la terre, c'est la mère du et nous allons produire mieux pour le bien-être de tout le
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to set the stage for today's deliberation, we begin with an overview of the pre-Assises report. It is worth to note that consultations for the pre-Assises were held extensively last year. This report captures the key findings, recommendation, and will guide our discussion for today and tomorrow. I now invite Dr. Madhu, Chief Executive Officer of the Food and Agricultural Research Extension Institute, to give a presentation on the pre-Assises report. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Alvin Boulel, GOSK Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Mrs. Stephanie Antil, Chief Government Whip, Honorable Mr. Gilles Fabrice David, Junior Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Honorable Junior Ministers, Her Excellency Ms. Lisa Singh, UN Resident Coordinator for Mauritius and Seychelles, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. It gives me great pleasure today to set the stage for the Assises de l'Agriculture, which is going to take place over the next 2 days. The Assises de l'Agriculture is a response to government program. The intention of government to launch a food security plan. So I'll just give you some background before I enter into the essence of the subject. Last year, the ministry started to reflect on how do we go about developing that plan. And this is when a core team was set up. The core team consisted of FARE, the Small Farmers Welfare Fund, the Agricultural Marketing Board, the Agricultural Services of the Ministry, as well as the policy unit falling under the Ministry of Agro-Industry. So as a core team, we had to reflect on what is it really that we want to achieve in this plan. So we had to go to the basics. We do have to understand the concept of food security itself. There is the official definition of food security, which was in as a result of the World Food Summit in 1996. The concept of food security covers many dimensions. Food security means every person has access to food, whether it is physical or financial access. Food security means in a country we should have stability of supply. There shouldn't be any disruption. Food security also means that people need to have access to safe food and nutritious food. And probably very important, something which we tend to miss, having access to food is not a privilege that government is doing to its citizens. It is a human right based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So Article 25 clearly states that it is the obligation of government to supply food to its citizens. Now, taking that on board, this is what we had on our plate. How do we do that? What approach were we going to use? Considering the about 1.2 million inhabitants of the country, and also the 1 million tourists who come to the country. So this is the population which we have to feed. Now, what we decided as a group to look at how it's being done in other countries. And this is where we decided to adopt a systemic approach to this issue. A systemic approach which has been borrowed from FAO. What does it mean? It means that when we talk of food security, it's not solely of producing food, but all the trajectory from the time it's being produced until the time it comes to your plate, and also until it's being reused and disposed of. Now, what does it mean? It means production on the field, harvesting, storage, processing, distribution, until preparation, until we consume it. Now, this is what an agri-food system is, and this is what we have to deal with. Now, what is a transformed agri-food system is? This is the vision that the group had in mind. A transformed agri-food system means that all the components of the agri-food system is functioning well. It means it has benefits for everybody. There are reduced inequalities. The environment is not being affected. Society is happy. People are healthy. And it also means there are no inequalities. There's a very strong social aspect when we are talking about food. Now, we decided to handle this in two ways. We wanted to be evidence-based, so we were data-driven. We looked at all the data which impacts on our agri-food system. We look at production, food import bill, import of insecticides, fungicides, percentage contribution to GDP, as well as other factors, including emissions, carbon emissions to the environment. I don't have everything here, but we did scan all the data, which gives us evidence to develop the plan. Then, most importantly, we had a number of pre-consultative process. So the document which we prepared is not the voice of this group, but the voice of 400 people who we consulted during the process. Growers, breeders, academics, researchers, policymakers, people from across board. So we had a very extensive consultative process. It was very democratic, and a number of meetings, sectoral meetings on agri-tech, larger meetings on the system, youth engagement, liaison meetings over the island to capture the views of growers in different parts of the island. And in the process, we also conducted retreats through the Island Chief Executive Office. So we have a big section on retreats in the document. Now, what did we do during those meetings? During those meetings, we discussed about the strengths, the opportunities, the weaknesses of the system. Some strength, we have very good institutions, we have some very good laws, we have a diverse production base, we have opportunities on Africa, opportunities for young people to enter the system, opportunities for growers to get into the value chain, and big opportunity for our planters to become professional farmers. Now, during the process, we also acknowledged some of the challenges that we are facing, very pressing one, in fact. Labor scarcity, as we all know, youth engagement, climate change, water shortage, land access, soil health, farmers not being professional at this stage, data integration, market access, and policy coordination. So how are we going to deal with all that was the question which was asked to the stakeholders. Now, during the process, it was also important for us to align ourselves with what is happening in the region and in the country, in the region, and also internationally. What do I mean by in the country? We had a blueprint which was launched by the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation, where there is a pillar on agri-tech. We had to take that on board. There is an obesity action plan from the Ministry of Health. And as we know, food impacts on NCDs, obesity. There's also a lack of vitamin D, anemia. All these are problems which are facing the population. We had to take that on board. And we also had to look at the various strategic plans of the Ministry of Environment, because agriculture and environment are tightly linked. We get impacted by climate change, but we also contribute to climate change. So all these had to be taken on board and assimilated and thought about so that we could make a good document. Now, we also look at regional and international policies, what is happening with SADC, what is happening with FAO, what are they saying, what is happening with Commonwealth Secretariat, which, by the way, just launched a very good document on national agricultural data infrastructure, which can be used as a base document when we want to develop the precision farming sector, and of course the SDG. Now, when we did the consultation and discussed about all these issues, there were 10 questions which were systematically raised. They are here. How do we ensure resilient and sustainable food production that reduce dependence on imports and external shocks? That was frequently raised by everybody, especially after the COVID, when our airport and port was closed, and we didn't even know how we were going to feed ourselves. How do we secure long-term autonomy? How do we build resilience to disaster risk? How do we encourage resource efficiency and ecosystem restoration? How do we safeguard our soil, our resource base, so that we produce now, but later generations can also produce? There was the question of nutrition. How do we make sure that the food which is being produced is nutritious and safe for the population? And then there is a whole side of business side to the question. It's about eating, but the grower, the farmer also needs to make a living. So how do we move beyond value chains? How do we turn the farmer into an entrepreneur? How do we leverage on emerging technologies to consolidate our agri-food system? And basic to all of that, how do we move from policy to action? How do we make sure that this report doesn't stay in a drawer, but actually gets translated into actions which will be implemented in the time that we have been given? This is a roadmap for 5 years. How do we make sure that we attain our objectives in 5 years? Now, I won't go into detail into the subject because this is what is going to be discussed during the day, but I'll just give you an overview, a taste of what is going to be discussed during the day. And I group the themes into clusters to make it easier to follow. So the first cluster, which we are going to talk about, is really about sovereignty, about being independent, of making sure that we have enough food in our reserves, no matter what happens. If a second COVID should happen, what do we do? Are we prepared for that? Did we learn the lessons that we had from COVID-19, or did we not? No, when we are talking of food sovereignty, the reflections which were made were very much about land, seeds, water, and the farmer. These are the basic things that we need. If we don't have this, we can forget about the rest. So how do we ensure that? And what should we be growing? Should we be growing vanilla for export, or should we be growing crops to feed our population? Priority number one, we discussed that strategic crops, potato, onions, banana, cauliflower, cabbage, pumpkin, these should be the ones we should prioritize because these are basic things. Now, the other thing which comes with food sovereignty is seed sovereignty. Can you imagine if you don't have any seed? No matter how much land and water and farmer you have, what do you grow? And at this stage, Mauritius is very dependent on seed import. And we are subject to market supply disturbances, to price fluctuations on the market. I don't want to say it, but it's like we have become a slave to other countries. We need to buy seeds. It has become a commercial thing. So it's very important for us to ensure that we have a seed reserve. And this is where in the document we talk about seed banks, we talk about our growers, giving them incentives to produce those seeds, and also why not getting startups, entrepreneurs to look at seed production as a business. The second cluster which retained a lot of attention was environment and climate change. This one regroups three themes where we talk about climate resilience, regenerative agriculture, and the One Health approach, integrating environment, plant, and animal health. And I have to say here, not only in Mauritius, but worldwide, the future is regenerative agriculture. And we can't afford to be late on that. Very soon, even the markets will be determined by how clean our agriculture is. Attracting funding, climate financing, we need to respect those norms. So not only important for our environment, but also farming as a business, markets. So this section was a subject of great debate and discussion. And there are things which are already being done. I won't go over them, but probably just highlight a few of the main factors which was discussed during these thematics. Firstly, the role of research and development is very important when we talk about climate change and agriculture. There are increasing pests and diseases. Do we have enough research? Is our research being needs-driven? What are we doing to respond to the needs of the farmers? And something which we don't often think about, when we ask farmers to go into organic agriculture or regenerative agriculture, they will ask us, where's your business plan? How do I make a profit? How do I make a profit using this type of agriculture? And this is something which will need to be addressed very urgently, because if we want to go along that line, and we have to, we also need to think of how we are going to empower the farmers, how are we going to create the markets. For instance, if we go to the wholesale market, how do we demarcate the products which come from organic or regenerative agriculture from normal products? So this kind of thinking has to come, and we need to find solutions if we want farmers to be encouraged to go into that kind of business. There are also insurance schemes for farmers. Farmers are often prone to disaster risk, and do we have insurance schemes for them? So far in Mauritius, as far as we know, there is nothing which could be developed. Maybe it's time for us to go to other countries to see how it's being done and to see which model is good for Mauritius. Human health. This was a thematic by itself. There was the report which was just published on pesticide residues on food, on vegetables. And I can tell you that this was a subject which retained a lot of attention. And consumers are very, very sensitive on that aspect. And there's a lot which is being done, but a lot remains to be done. As far as the present situation is that we are encouraging good agricultural practices. We are identifying alternatives to chemicals, but then there needs to be more research. There needs to be more research because we have to understand that Mauritius has a very difficult climate. Pests and diseases are very common. The farmer needs to earn a living. And for him to reduce his use of pesticide, we need to have alternatives, which is coming from research. So again, the importance of research, and research being driven by needs, not any kind of research, should be encouraged. Now we come into the business side of things. How do we turn the farmer into an agropreneur? Some of the weaknesses here we found. Once the farmer has harvested from his field, he normally sells it to somebody else who's going to process, or he's going to waste it. So this created sort of a need for us to put this here. We need to see how we can consolidate our post-harvest systems, including harvest scheduling with market demand. What do I mean by this is that sometimes we see the price of vegetables is high on the market, sometimes it's so low that growers are disposing of them, which is a waste. So we should have a digital platform where farmers know what is being grown by other farmers and they don't grow the same thing. So they tailor their production based on the market. And there should also be an option where the farmer can process and keep for harder times. So agro-processing and post-harvest, very important in the value chain. But then when we had the meetings with the young farmers, they told us, in the case of Mauritius, they know how to grow vegetables, they know how to harvest, they even know how to process, but they don't know how to make a business plan. So now we need to think beyond producing. We need to think how do we empower those farmers to develop their business plans? How do we set up probably entrepreneurship programs tailored for the farmers? And I would go probably one step further. It's high time we start thinking about innovation. It's high time we start to think of technology, innovation, and the young people. How do we work with private sector? How do we work with incubators? How do we work with La Plage Factory, with La Cherby? It's high time that this barrier between the agricultural world and these incubators be shattered. Because if we don't go this way, the young people won't enter the business, and also we won't find solutions to our problems. We will continue to import, and we will continue to waste until the mindset of the farmers is changed through these specific programs. So I guess this will be a major flagship program after the Assises. And of course, along with innovation, emerging technologies. In the budget speech 25-26, there's a clause which says, we are going to use AI in control environment agriculture, which is very good. But then when we had various consultations with the farmers, they asked us, can we invest that much? And when we sell our products, are we still going to make a profit if we invest that much into that kind of technology? It is a good thing. It should be here for those who are ready. But then we are also of the view that precision farming, precision agriculture, agri-tech should be tailored for the small growers as well. And how do we do that? There are many propositions in the document. I won't go into that, but I can tell you agri-tech itself is a journey. It's a journey which has to cater for farmers, entrepreneurs, and technopreneurs. And their needs are very different and needs to be reflected in that document. And how do we make sure that the report doesn't stay in a drawer? How do we move from policy to action? And one of the weaknesses which we think is going to be to make organizations work together. We are working together, we are in each other's committees, but working together means being partners on the same project. Who is going to coordinate that? How is the setup going to be? We can't work individually and pretend to innovate. It won't happen. So I think there are very good propositions which are being made on how we are going to set up those committees which are going to monitor us and make sure we are doing the work and delivering every 3 months. This is what we talk about, but apart from the work that we are doing, in that particular section, we also talk of financing schemes for the farmers. We do have a number of schemes which are being spearheaded by FARE and Small Farmers Welfare Fund, but I think it's also time to review those schemes, reactualize them based on the new challenges that we are being faced with. One other important thing which was mentioned in that thematic was the problem of theft. People don't realize that theft is a big issue on the ground, and maybe a police agricole could be the solution to that. So I'm not going to take longer because I'm getting signals from the back that I'm talking too much. I'm going to stop here. But before finishing, I'll just mention that in the report, we divide the report into 3 parts. We have a crop section, we have a livestock section, but also we have a Rodriguez section. I don't know whether our colleagues from Rodriguez are here, but the report is supposed to go to Rodriguez. And when we talk of food security, we are not going to talk about it in Assises de l'Agriculture, but nobody thought about the fish. Fish is also about food, and there is a link section which is going to be discussed during the Assises de l'Océan, and this is going to link up the vegetables and the meat to the fish and make us work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madu, for this comprehensive overview highlighting the different clusters. Indeed, your insights provide a strong foundation for our deliberation today and tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to request Mrs. Joan Bocas, Senior Chief Executive of the Ministry of Agri-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy, to deliver her address. Thank you, Mrs. Joan.
Dr. the Honorable Arvin Boulel, JOSK, Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Ms. Stéphanie Anctil, Government Chief Whip, Honorable Gilles Fabrice David, Junior Minister of the Ministry, Honorable Junior Ministers, Her Excellency Ms. Lisa Singh, UN Resident Coordinator for Mauritius and Seychelles, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all this morning to the opening ceremony of les Assises de l'Agriculture, being organized by the Ministry with the support of a number of institutions, including FARE, Agricultural Marketing Board, Small Farmers Welfare Fund, etc. This high-level forum is being held for 2 days to engage in meaningful discussions on the future of the agricultural sector, with a particular focus on resilience, innovation, sustainability, and food security. Agriculture is a subject of national and international importance. It touches every single citizen of this country, be it as a producer or as a consumer of food. That is, all of us as members or head of a family, responsible to ensure that sufficient, safe, and nutritious food is available in our kitchens and in our plates every day. As such, food security and food sovereignty are everybody's concern. As you are aware, it was initiated in the government program 2025-2029 that an ambitious food security program would be put in place so as to make food more accessible, affordable, and safer for the population. In that context, the Assises de l'Agriculture, being organized today and tomorrow under the theme Smart Agriculture for a Resilient Mauritius, mark an important milestone in the evolution of Mauritius' agri-food system. It reflects a deliberate shift in how we conceive, design, and implement agricultural policy, moving away from fragmented interventions toward a coherent systems-based approach grounded in evidence, analysis, and implementation realities. The Assise is not about isolated measures, but about transformation, informed and substantiated by data, guided by realism, and driven by outcomes. The thematic areas that structure this Assise, which have been elaborated by Dr. Madhu, amongst others, strengthening food security, sovereignty, and resilient domestic production, promoting inclusive and competitive value chains, fostering innovation, knowledge system, and youth engagement, ensuring sustainable natural resource management and ecosystem health, strengthening governance, institutional coordination, and financing mechanisms, climate resilience, adaptation, and disaster preparedness, and enhancing nutritional security, food safety, and public health linkages have been developed through rigorous multidisciplinary analysis. Together, they form the analytical backbone of our agricultural transformation agenda. They enable us to move beyond traditional silos by integrating key dimensions of the agri-food system, including production and markets, land and water management, technology and innovation, nutrition and public health, as well as climate resilience and institutional performance. This integrated perspective is essential. Without this approach, policy decisions risk being disjointed and reactive. However, with such an approach, we can ensure coherence, strategic alignment, and measurable impact across the sector. Food security in today's context can no longer be defined solely in terms of volumes. It is equally about anticipation, logistics, governance, and coordination. Despite global chain disruptions and increasingly adverse climatic conditions, Mauritius has been able to ensure continuity of supply through strategic stock management and targeted import mechanisms while preserving the primacy of local production. Similarly, improvements in the management of bycatch fish have strengthened governance frameworks, enhanced traceability, and improved revenue collection across the fisheries value chain. These advances illustrate how better systems and institutional arrangements translate directly into better outcomes on the ground. This Assise, however, is not an end in itself. It is a platform for convergence, bringing together policymakers, researchers, practitioners, financiers, and stakeholders around a shared agenda. The Ministry of Agri-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy, and Fisheries will ensure, following the discussions, that a food security program is elaborated, that recommendations are translated into concrete and actionable programs, that resources are aligned with clearly defined priorities, and that accountability is embedded throughout implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I wish to highlight that with the strategic direction set by government, the financial backup provided through the budget, and the collective expertise assembled here today, we have the capacity to move decisively from dialogue to delivery. The honorable ministers will be providing more details in their respective speeches. Let this Assise de l'Agriculture be remembered not only for the quality of its discussions, but also for the quality of its outcomes for our farmers and breeders, for agro-processors, for consumers, and ultimately for the nation. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mrs. John Bocas. Indeed, your vision and your words remind us of the importance of strong leadership and coordination in advancing agricultural development in the country. I now have the pleasure to invite our Junior Minister, Honorable Fabrice Gilles David, to deliver his perspective on the role of youth, innovation, and resilience in shaping our agricultural sector. Thank you.
Dr. Honorable Arvin Boulel, Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries. Dr. Honorable Avinash Kantoel, Minister for Information Technology and Innovation. Stéphanie Antil, Honorable Chief Government Whip, colleagues, junior ministers for Environment, Tourism, Foreign Affairs, colleagues from the Parliament, members of Parliament, Mrs. Lisa Singh, UN Resident Office Coordinator for Mauritius and Seychelles, chairpersons, directors, officers, farmers, breeders, researchers, and all private, public, academic stakeholders de l'agriculture. A warm welcome and a very good morning from my side for what is now known as les Assises de l'agriculture and which now bears its own hashtag Assises Agriculture 2026. And you have seen that we have a QR code which is going to bring you to our Facebook page, Les Assises de l'Agriculture. And to highlight that our today's Assises are broadcast live on the Fare YouTube channel. This banner for Les Assises was AI generated, but obviously fed with information from human intelligence. Allow myself the freedom to comment that banner in Creole. Là, vous trouvez une plantaire qui n'a assisé dans ce carreau. Et si vous remarquez bien sa plantaire là, c'est une jeune plantaire. Qui se bataille bien. Mais malgré qu'il y a une jeune plantaire, il met un sac à paille sur la tête. Tradition est important. Et dans ce main, il y a un device. Avec sa device là, il peut contrôler un drone qui est là-haut sur la tête. Drone là, il peut parcourir sur un carreau, il peut scanner côté manque d'eau, il peut informer côté il y a une maladie qui peut commencer, il peut permettre de faire ce qu'on appelle l'agriculture prédictive. Tout à droite, tu trouves un peu carocane. Côté planter là, il y a incisé, vous pouvez trouver souffler, vous pensez. En planter, vous besoin corriger si vous pouvez mal dire. L'issue, allez, l'issue. Vraiment, le planter là même. Et dans l'issue que tu peux accouper, au milieu, c'est laitue. À gauche, on peut trouver pomme d'amour. Et dès à côté, le planteur, l'agriculteur. Où vous trouvez des papillons imposés. Ça, des papillons-là, il peut dire que la nouvelle agriculture qui nous fait envie de trouver dans nos pays, c'est une agriculture qui est respectueuse de l'environnement. C'est ce qu'on appelle l'agroécologie. Agroécologie nous fait attention, santé de la terre, fertilité de la terre, nous fait de sorte qu'il y ait des produits chimiques, des pesticides, pas rentrer dans nous la rivière pour atterrir dans nous la mer. Et remarquez à côté planter là, je vous trouve un petit corde jaune là. Ça une corde jaune là veut dire qu'il peut être planté là, il ne va pas servir trop beaucoup de pesticides parce qu'il met un yellow sticky cord, comme un insecte pour venir pour coller l'eau là. Un mouche blanc pour coller l'eau corde jaune. Et au pied de l'agriculteur, vous voyez deux tuyaux qui longent la terre, ce qu'on appelle drip irrigation. pour qu'ils nous capables de servir de l'eau, irrigation de façon raisonnée. Et bien sûr, parce que l'agriculture, il passe du scope, il y a aussi livestock. Vous trouvez dans le côté gauche du banner, on a cabri, et nous faisons de sorte qu'ils nous mettent un fencing parce qu'ils n'ont pas envie qu'ils nous propres cabri mangent nos propres issues, nos propres pommes d'amour. Voilà la vision qui est encapsulée par ce banner des assises de l'agriculture. Today is not just the opening of a conference, it is the opening of a new chapter for agriculture and for food security in Mauritius. And as it was very clearly stated by Dr. Madou, aujourd'hui, ces assises n'est pas le commencement d'un dialogue. C'est l'aboutissement de plusieurs conversations qui se sont déroulées l'année dernière avec les planteurs, les éleveurs, les agroprocessors, les consommateurs. Et tout ça a produit a 115-page pre-consultative consolidated report that forms the basis of les assises de l'agriculture. Et sous la coordination de la FARE, the Agri-Services, consultations were held extensively with farmers, planters, breeders, producers, SMEs, consumers, youth, civil society, private sector, and public institutions. For the first time in our country, we deliberately adopted a farm-to-fork approach fully aligned with the FAO concept of the agri-food system. Et là, je dois saluer la vision et le courage politique du ministre Boulel. Ce rapport de 115 pages a été rendu public et a été même mis sur notre site, le site web du ministère de l'agro-industrie. Il est téléchargeable pour que vous puissiez donner vos avis, donner vos propositions et aussi vos critiques. Nous acceptons du monde critique, nous pensons pas si nous connaissons bien faire toutes affaires. Et je dois dire aussi que l'île Maurice que nous voulons bâtir, l'île Maurice agricole, est une Maurice of transparency, of participation, a Mauritius where policies are no longer designed behind closed doors, but through shared dialogue, contribution, and constructive criticism. And this is a shift from a top-down culture to a bottom-up democracy of policy making. And we mean business. We mean new business. Je ne serai pas long parce qu'il y a des échanges extrêmement constructifs qui vont commencer après l'intervention du ministre Boulel. Et tellement de choses, le ministre Boulel me disait, mais les personnes qui nous ont précédés, les femmes du ministère qui nous ont précédés ont déjà tellement tout dit et tellement tout bien dit. Nous rêvons d'une agriculture résiliente, d'une agriculture smart, d'une agroécologie, d'une agriculture qui nous permettra d'atteindre la souveraineté alimentaire. Nous pas embêter nous-mêmes, nous ne connaissons pas pour avoir suffisant dans tout produit agricole. Ça, il faut qu'on se le dise très clairement. Mais essayons d'améliorer ce qui peut l'être. Nous sommes le gouvernement du changement. Le changement se fait parfois dans la douleur. Et je dois vous dire que certains de nos officiers, ils ont été assez honnêtes de le reconnaître, ont été assez secoués par cette nouvelle approche démocratique, où nous allons vers ceux qui travaillent la terre, ceux qui travaillent la mer, ceux qui se lèvent tôt, qui rentrent dans nos carreaux, qui souffrent avec soleil, vent, cyclone, la pluie. Et je termine là-dessus, je réitère ma proposition pour que nous puissions avoir un steering committee, meeting at the level of a ministry, every 3 months, where each institution will be required to present real progress against agreed KPIs, challenges encountered, and concrete corrective actions proposed. And this is not about administration. This is about delivery and accountability, because policies only matter if they change realities on the ground. Je vous souhaite 2 belles journées des Assises. Le ministre Boulel et moi, nous suivrons soit physiquement ici, soit à travers le live sur le YouTube channel de la FARE ou sur la page Facebook des Assises de l'agriculture, vos échanges, vos délibérations. Et nous serons là demain pour la conclusion de ces assises et qui vont lancer the new roadmap for smart agriculture, for a modern Mauritius. The title of our government program is A Bridge to the Future. Le futur, c'est vous, c'est moi, c'est nous, et c'est nous tous ensemble. Merci.
Thank you, Honorable Fabrice G. David, Junior Minister, for your inspiring remark. Your emphasis on innovation, youth engagement strongly resonates the objective of the Assises. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct privilege to invite Dr. the Honorable Arvin Boulel, GOSK, Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, to deliver his keynote address. His leadership and vision continue to guide our sector towards more resilient and sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You've listened very intently to the presentation made, and I'm sure you've paid particular attention to the speech delivered by my colleague, Fabrice David. I'll go as far as to say that we're an unbeatable team, but we're a good team, and I thank you for that. Our friendly Minister of IT is present, and his presence is of paramount importance. I say paramount because he's here to sensitize and to disseminate. Access to information today is privilege. It is a right. And we are here in the presence of all of our junior ministers, and I thank them very much. I know Ms. Béranger is very much in sustainable development, seeing to it that whatever we do responds to the needs of our people. And what is true for her is equally true for all our junior ministers. My good friend, the junior minister of Foreign Affairs, traveled the continent, especially cross borders in SADC, to disseminate the relevance and importance of Mauritius as a small island developing state, but with what we call sustainable development as a result of its wide perspective. And we are here in the presence of the UN Office Resident Coordinator, Ms. Lisa Singh, who's always by our side. And whenever we need her, she responds very positively. Our good friends, the MPs, who are here. But you matter to us, and you matter enormously to us, all the stakeholders who are here. But then we have to face the harsh realities. And the content of our speech will highlight the relevance, merit, the strengths and weaknesses of this sector. And let me start by saying that we are facing unprecedented, challenging times. And there's no differential or special treatment for small island developing states. The demise of preferences is inevitable. Even rule-based international order has been shaken. And we have to adapt. We have to reinvent, arise, awake, and not, and go for a sustainable agriculture. Time is of an essence. No one owes us a living, and there is no free lunch. Only loans are concessional, and our goals have to be reached. I'm confident we stand together, and as a united Mauritian team, with incorporated values we can deliver. We have an A team, but we have to get our act together. And I will emphasize on what I've just stated earlier. Synergistic approach, putting up a common front of threats and to grasp opportunities. Synergistic approach is a must if our objective is to overcome. I stand before you with a vision that is both urgent and transformative. Smart agriculture for a resilient Mauritius. The Assises comes at a defining moment for the Republic of Mauritius. Rodrigue is and can be a better granary. Agriculture is a strategic pillar of sovereignty, of stability and resilience. It should be on our menu to be in the plate of our people. The findings of the report on the level of pesticide in our food is an awakening call. No one can be insensitive or impervious. A ministerial committee comprising of environment, agro-industry, health, and commerce will ensure follow-up of the tasks entrusted to responsible officers. The challenges we face today are not abstract global trends. They are realities that touch every household, every farmer, and every consumer in our country. Across the world, agriculture is being reshaped by forces beyond any nation's control. Climate change is altering rainfall patterns and increasing the frequency of droughts, floods, and cyclones. Geopolitical tension are disrupting supply chains and driving up the cost of essential input. Volatile markets and shifting consumer expectations are creating uncertainty for producers everywhere. These risks are immediate and tangible. That is higher food prices, supply insecurity, and pressure on farmers' livelihoods. Today, we produce only 25% of what we consume. This is not just statistic. It is a structural vulnerability that the government program gives us a clear mission. We must strengthen food security, empower plant leaders, and safeguard our natural resources. They are not abstract ambitions. They are legitimate ambition of a small island developing state, which has an ocean economy with biodiversity beyond our jurisdiction. Dried organic or liquefied seaweed is a sought-after organic fertilizer for our plants. But beware of runoff of effluents from agricultural or any sector in our lagoon. Sustainability is the key. We must redefine our dependency on imports and improve productivity. I have said no, and I will say emphatically no to encroachment upon prime agricultural land. Enough is enough. Manpower shortage is being addressed by a special scheme dedicated to agriculture. The first batch of workers are due to arrive in March. Taxpayers are constantly looking at us. They want results, and I'm sure Agricultural Policy Analysis Unit and all of us are paying heed. Wear our boots to reach out to planters and agro-processors for a better outcome. We have to walk the talk. And no agricultural station, and I say no agricultural station should remain idle. Allotment of land to grow your own vegetables is there for the taking. It is the grain startup with accompanying measures. And I have to see the number of young graduates, women showing keen interest to go back to the land to take advantage of smart agriculture. The Small Farmers Welfare Fund, with full support from government, is working on an insurance scheme which is more responsive to the needs of its members. In the budget 2025-2026, the government has made a history to this transformation, dedicating billion rupees to support farmers, planters, beekeepers, and breeders. It is a strategic investment in resilience, jobs, and national stability. It includes a food resilience scheme to promote, control environment agriculture, such as vertical farming, solar agri-tech, and climate control system. It supports the integration of artificial intelligence for SME, modernizing operations and improving food quality and competitiveness. It mobilizes land strategically through initiatives such as digital twins, Mauritius digital for sugarcane planters, ensuring 35,000 rupees per ton to 60 ton, including bagasse and molasses. These measures are designed not only to support into a sector that is future ready. Sugarcane plantation is a good carbon cleanser. Bagasse remains the best biomass to produce electricity. Sugarcane has expectations. And I say it without fear of prejudice. It has a future. And we have to make sure that we sell special sugar. It's a sector to which value can be added. And it's a sector which has multifunctional dimension. Even the industry is coming back, and is coming back to strike, because today, with modernization, preparation of land, and the price being offered people. But the fact remains, agriculture is both a victim of climate change, and it is also part of the solution. We must therefore embrace climate smart and regenerative practices. Irrigation authority must improve water use efficiency, restore soil health, protect biodiversity, and reduce waste through circular production models. These are not luxuries. They are necessities for survival. And if we fail to adapt, our vulnerability will deepen. If we succeed, agriculture can become a driver of resilience and sustainability. Whether it's remote sensing or drone to spray our fields with judicious use of chemicals, we have to be precise and we have to be smart. All our efforts align with Vision 2050, a vision of Mauritius where food systems are resilient, inclusive, and low carbon, where farmers as entrepreneurs are integrated into value chains, and where food security is the cornerstone of national resilience. This Assise must not be a one-off either. It must be a turning point, a powerhouse, and a backbone to planters and consumers. But first, make agriculture comprehensive, to produce what we eat and eat what we produce. Beyond sound bite and bite sound, the keynote is value addition, value addition, value addition, and research, development, and innovation. There's no let go. The priorities are urgent, sustainable, and safe food for consumption. I call upon our farmers to embrace innovation and collaboration. Our researchers and extension services have to be more responsive and impact-driven. I ask our private sector to carry out productive investment in local value chain, and I call upon all stakeholders to work together in the spirit of partnership. Food security is not the responsibility of a single ministry. It is a national mission. Think global and act local. Cross-border initiative cannot be ruled out in relation to du Comprehensive Agriculture Africa Development Program. Together, guided by the government program and supported by the budget, we can build a resilient, competitive, and future-ready agricultural sector. We have to ensure that future generations inherit a Mauritius that is stronger, more self-reliant, and more secure. The Comprehensive Agriculture Development Program is the deep sense of responsibility and purpose that I declare this Assise de l'agriculture open.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the keynote address. Your words set the tone for our deliberation and reaffirm the collective commitment to strengthen our agricultural sector. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now break for tea, and I kindly request the first 3 rows to proceed first to the lobby for the break, and then after we shall proceed for the other rows consecutively. Thank you everyone for your presence, attention, and participation to make this Assise a landmark event for the country. Thank you.
Thank you.